Hello, everyone, and welcome to our post-race discussion on the recent 70.3 Ironman Washington. I'm Victor Vizcaino. I'm a high-performance coach, and with me today are three remarkable teammates from our triathlon club, Team Blaze. Today, we're not just triathletes, but we're storytellers. We're here to share our journey, the highs, the lows, the lessons we've learned, and our hope is that our stories inspire, educate, those of you who are looking to take on such challenge in the future or simply curious about the world of triathlons. So without further ado, I'm going to start by introducing, first of all, let me introduce all of them. With me on the order there, you're on my screen. Damon, you said at the beginning you wanted to PR because it's your first to accomplish that. And Damon hasn't taken off his medal yet. He's been wearing his medal all this time. And Heather, you wanted to do better and improve. I know you had some challenges on this one, but overall, I think the experience was good, I hope, and that you're looking forward to your next one. And next is Liz. Awesome. Liz said one thing before in one of their swim things. She said you wanted to redeem yourself from the Victoria triathlon, and that if you did a sub-3, we were going to have a party, and I guess we're going to have a party. But this is kind of a party.
It counts.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's get started with Damon Fisher. Why don't you tell us your experience, since this was your first Ironman 70.3. Tell us how you did.
I finished. That was my goal, as you mentioned, that I was going to get a PR. So, but I have a history of running, right? I ran quite often. It was my sport of choice, was running. And a few years ago, my girlfriend was into triathlons, and she kind of introduced me to Team Blaze. I actually took her to Maple Valley as her Sherpa while she did the race. And so I got exposed to it that way. And my intentions of joining this year was actually to just do like a sprint or something like that, right? Because I had started taking up biking because I'm finding that running all the time is a little hard on the body. And I had never done swimming. So this year was the first time I'd done that. And I'm not sure what happened, but I signed up straight up for the half Ironman, right, at Maple Valley, and that began my journey probably in April. I'm kind of thinking maybe I signed up for it March, April, somewhere around there. Okay. And that's how I got involved in what happened last weekend. So.
And how long were you in the Team Blaze? When did you sign up for Team Blaze?
This was my second year, so I was in it last year, and I didn't do any kind of tries, or I didn't do any swimming or any kind of organized things. I was just in it. I don't know how else to explain it, but this year I thought, well, I'll sign up and try to do something, right? And then by the time March and April rolled around, I thought, actually there is a little bit of inspiration there. Dustin had told me he signed up for the Salem half, and I thought to myself, no offense to Dustin, that if he can do it, I can do it.
There's a little bit of peer pressure there.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, cool. And so your overall experience for your first Ironman triathlon, where were you rated at? And did it leave you wanting to do another one?
Not yet. That's not out of the realm of possibility, but the experience is it's very unique. I mean, I don't know where else you get such a an experience as doing a triathlon, but I imagine there's some other extreme sport that really works you over. It is something. It's a thing. It is no joke. Going through all the training and getting through it and doing it. So it's a it's a thing of pride and stuff, and looking back on your effort, and it worked, and you made it. So yeah, it's positive.
Have you done other races, half marathons or 10K?
Yeah, I've done half marathons and marathons.
How do you compare the 70.3 triathlon to a marathon?
I could see, if there's a lot more background into my training ability that I'm not sharing yet, but I could see how if the proper effort was put into this, that the end of the run would probably be easier in this than I think in a marathon than in a marathon. It would be my guess, but I don't know. You guys have probably done it, but both.
Well, I know that for me, the difference is probably the gear. It's like you don't have to have all that gear when you do a marathon or a half marathon. And I think it does come with a little bit of a stress having to depend on so many things not failing.
There's a lot of little details and stuff that you got to think about. And I got mired and all that at the big, leading up to it, and looking back, and I'd say to myself, a lot of those little details aren't important.
Yeah.
There are few bigger ones that actually deserve more attention than a lot of the little ones. So I found myself on the morning of standing there, and I brought my bag in and at my bike, and I'm done setting up in like 2 minutes or something like that. And I'm looking around, and it looks like everybody's really intent, staring at everything. I just felt like, am I doing something wrong, right? And but I don't think I did anything wrong. Maybe it's just my attitude towards the whole thing. But
Yeah, good.
That was an interesting moment, actually, standing there.
I remember the announcer said, if you're just standing there staring at your bike, you may want to do this or that, or head to the something like that. Now, my question is going to be, as far as Team Blaze, is there something that we could do to improve your experience, the training? Is there something you'd like to see us do more of?
Team Blaze is, well, I participated in more swimming stuff, as you know, and a couple of bike rides and things like that. But Team Blaze is, it's got the stuff there for anybody that wants to learn how to not only learn, but actually have, camaraderie and other people in the same, with the same mindset, to talk to, chat with, how their experience is going, whether they've raced before or not. I didn't participate in all the stuff, but I could see how it would be more post race. I could see how it could be a lot more beneficial to actually get more involved. But it's all there. The foundation of the team is there, and I think it's one of those deals where you get out of it what you put into it, kind of thing. Right? Yeah. No one's going to hold your hand or anything. So.
Yeah, I do hope we have a lot more open water for our next season. I think that would be great.
Yeah, yeah. There was always an open water one. I think every Sunday, practically the whole time I was. Well, not the whole time, but there was quite a few of those, and I never went to one. Why? See, that's a failing on my part.
How satisfied were you with your swim at the race?
The swim was my hiccup, right? I pretty much knew that if I got to the swim, I could make it through the whole thing. I think my problem is that I had signed up, as I mentioned, for the half Ironman straight away, and I had no plans, and little tries would come and go, and I just, I missed that one, and I'd never participated in one. And then the weekend before, the half Ironman, there was a little try up in Diamond Lake, a little sprint. And on a whim, the Friday night before the race on Saturday morning, I signed up and I went up there and did it. And I learned a valuable lesson about about the swim. And one of those is I can't swim faster than Liz, and the other one is that
Someday.
I went in racing and I panicked, and it took me all week to figure out exactly what went wrong. But by the end of the week, I knew exactly how I was going to do it, or at least in my mind, my strategy for the half Ironman was. Don't get in the water racing. Get in the water warming up, and the pace would come to you. I'm not a fast swimmer anyway, but and everything went fine with the exception of my goggles fogging up and not being able to see the buoys very well. But yeah, so once I climbed out of the water, I'm like, all right, I got this.
Yeah.
So.
Mine got foggy a little bit, but I sprayed it with the anti-fog.
Yeah.
Or I got in the water, and I think it helped. I think they quickly unfogged, and I think that's why.
Yeah.
I think that's helped.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's some trick other than the sprays. I have some of that as well, but I don't know the logistics of standing in that line. I was in that line for an hour before I got in the water. The gun went off, and I wasn't in the water for like 55 minutes until later.
Yeah. And yeah, the one thing, because Liz said something when we were waiting, because Liz and Heather and myself were together in line for getting in the water. This is my first time I was in Maple Valley, and she said that's the longest part of the day is this part, and I didn't know what she was talking about. And I thought, nervous. Well, and then it's like, as we waited and waited and waited, had no idea it's going to take almost an hour.
Yeah.
In the water. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. I sure appreciate you telling your journey, your experience.
Sure.
And thank you for being here. Heather, we'll go to you if you want to share your experience. And
Yeah, sure. So I'm gonna do my plug first for anti-fog.
Heather is not sponsored by.
Where were you last weekend?
All right. So this one right here is like a cream, and you just rub it on, rub it off, wax on, wax on. And this one's a spray. I think this one works better for goggles. From what I put this on my TYR at the beginning of the season goggles, and I have yet to put it on there. So the guy was at Hayden Days this year, but we already had a bunch, so we didn't buy any. But it's anti-fog cleaner. It's just called Zip Wax. I think most cyclists are pretty familiar with it because with seasons of cycling is, fall and spring, and you get a lot of that fog, but it's cool in the mornings. Anyway, so that's my plug. Highly recommend, like literally, I'm not joking, one time on this stuff. And it worked all season with the anti-fog.
Really? Wow.
So, I mean, it happens sometimes, but I'm sure we all know about this, and this is probably gross, but you can lick the inside of them too, and that works in a pinch. So anyways, enough about fog, but that's everybody's problem, I swear, is the fogging up, and it's just super frustrating, and it can feed into that anxiety. So did you want me to just start kind of with my swim?
Yeah, why don't you start at the beginning and tell us your story of your journey?
Yeah, my journey is long. I am not new necessarily, but I guess I would be considered new to triathlons. It was only my second year. It was my 7th triathlon, like I had said earlier before we started recording. 3 70.3s and 2 Olympics and 2 sprints. So that would be 7, right?
Yes.
And lots of runs, but I have never done a full marathon run. Running is not my favorite, for lack of better terms. So swim. I am a strong swimmer when I don't panic. Panic is like a real thing with swimming. I've never had it before. So I did the Olympic this year for Coeur d'Alene. Had my first panic where I was kicked and then gulped some water. Had my wetsuit on and I just feel like I couldn't breathe. So I think Damon had great advice of just slow and work your way up to a pace that's comfortable. And I just couldn't catch my breathing at Maple Valley either. My swim wasn't worse, but it wasn't better. In that it should have been better because I am a strong swimmer when I want to be. I'm not a great swimmer, but I'm strong when I'm not panicking. So I'm not sure. That's something I have to work on. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I wasn't frustrated when I got out of the water. I just told myself, don't get upset with yourself. Just finish the swim, get on the bike, and go. And so there's my daughter in the background. What's she doing? Oh, Lord have mercy. So sorry, you're gonna get my family because that's my life.
Makes
So
it work.
yeah, so I got on the bike. I just took this 70.3 and just enjoyed it. Like I didn't have any like real anxiety about it. I even spoke to the guy that was part of the group that repairs bikes when you're there. I think it's the Play Try or something like I don't remember what the group's called, but they're there every year at the Maple Valley to check your bike over. And I told him, thanks, my bike did great. I didn't get a flat. You know, I was super excited about that because there's so many flats last year and this year at Maple Valley. My transitions were like 5 minutes because I kind of just enjoyed the process, but I was 9 minutes faster. I probably could have been 15 minutes faster if I would have been a little quicker on my transitions. But I think the biggest thing with triathlons, I mean, unless you're trying to go pro, is enjoy the journey and enjoy the process and make sure you're having a good time the whole time. And I felt like last year was my first year. I was 40. That was my thing is like, I wanted to do a 70.3. I turned 40. I'm going to do a 70.3. I was going to be a one and done. Well, you know how that is, right? You get bit by the triathlon bug, you get part of a team, you meet all these amazing people. I want to cry about it because I've built friendships and connections that I'm so thankful to have that I don't think I'll ever lose. And the people that are triathletes or pathetic triathletes, whatever you want to call us, are some of the best people I've ever met in my life. I know I'm digressing from what we're supposed to be talking about, but I think that's the biggest thing with triathlons is like sometimes we get caught up in like kind of putting ourselves down and saying you're not doing a good job, you suck, right? You just always feel that way, like I need to get better. And that's what makes us great. I mean, all of us want to be triathletes if we were a bunch of bums, right? So it's a double-edged sword, right? You have to tell yourself you're doing a good job, stop beating yourself up, but at the same time, you are going to beat yourself up. That's a normal thinking process. That's just who we are. We all are, everybody that I've ever met that's a triathlete is super intelligent and their background and their story is amazing. So I think that's the biggest thing is the camaraderie that Damon had talked about. It's just an amazing feeling. Seeing, even if Liz, like she's hauling booty, she's kicking my butt and I love it. And you know what? I see her and I go, there she is. I was just so proud to see her. I was so proud even when I was passing you, Victor. I was so happy to see you. I'm like, you know, I can see my teammates and that if I didn't have that, I think that I would be slower and even less of an enjoyment to me if I didn't see my teammates. So anyways, so I hate running to an extent. I said it's not my favorite, but I hate it. But I love the bike. The bike course, I haven't been on a bike course I haven't loved. So that was good for me. I was about the same on the bike course. The run, I was a little bit faster. But
What do you think of the bike course
what?
as a bike? What did you think about the bike course as a bike lover?
I liked it. It's a good course. Yeah, I mean, it's very lush over there. I mean, I usually ride in the Palouse, which is beautiful in the Palouse, but sometimes the Palouse can be very wheatland type scenario.
Mhm.
So when there's just like trees everywhere, I really like that. I mean, I shouldn't say I don't like, but I do get irritated by other people on bicycles because they are not good bicyclists sometimes. So if you're a cyclist and you're used to being in a group that knows how to ride a bike, that's where I have frustrations with triathlons. So I guess that's my biggest complaint, but I don't want to say it's a complaint. It's just, I kind of just giggle now. I was telling Liz about a guy that was on a bicycle and he was like a strong looking guy, had a nice bicycle, and he was like a clown. He was just weaving like this. Couldn't keep a line for nothing. And I thought, if you could just go straight, you would be so fast. But he couldn't go straight. I've never seen anybody ride a bike like that. It was making me dizzy. So there's just the things you see, and if you're like a really good swimmer, I'm sure if somebody's a good swimmer and saw me, they're like, get that girl out of my way, she's terrible. Somebody that's a really good runner might see me and be like, look at that slow girl. So for me, it's like, bicyclists, that's where I'm judging the most. So I like the course, I just don't like all the bicyclists. They just don't follow the rules of the road that are supposed to be followed as cyclists, don't get out of the way of traffic. We don't have that problem in Coeur d'Alene.
Poor bike etiquette.
Yes, that's a nice way to say it. But you just learn.
Traffic, because I had problem with cars that because
Mhm.
getting stuck and also because of the poor bike etiquette, the bikes were taking so much room that the car was stuck behind them, and therefore you're stuck too. And the more we got stuck behind the car, the bigger the pile kept getting of. It's like so much for not drafting because we're all packed.
Right. I was yelling at this cyclist ahead of me. I was like, car back, because that's what you say when you're a cyclist. So, sometimes you can't hear it. And so you move over. These people are in the road, has a huge shoulder, and they're not getting over. So, I mean, I think that's a good thing. So the takeaway of that is no bike etiquette when you go into triathlon, not only for yourself, but to possibly help other cyclists that aren't aware of what that etiquette is, like car back. You see a pothole, like it's automatic for me to like point if I see something in the road because I know cyclists are behind me because that's etiquette you learn. So I think a big thing is no bike etiquette before you get into a triathlon. If go ride with some local cycling groups. Liz did a very good job of that.
Because of you.
What?
You helped me a ton. You taught me all my bike stuff. You taught me the
sure?
little point. I'm sure.
Oh, I was like, I thought well, you rode a lot with Lacey too, so that was probably really
Yeah.
helpful riding with the bike.
Yeah.
The Bike Hub group. So go out and ride with specific groups, go run with specific run groups. Though they're not triathletes, you're going to learn from them. I think that's huge. For instance, Victor, I learned so much from you and James regarding running and kind of doing like kind of little shuffle. And, I never knew like taking big, huge strides is like wears you out more, right? With running. So, and, doing zone work, that is huge. I think it's a big deal. I'm still working on it, especially with cycling. I suck at zone work with cycling because all I know is like go hard, and I just can't find that happy medium yet. So yeah, the run is hard. I think that's the hardest thing is because you're kind of tired and you have to learn how to conserve energy for that run.
Yeah. Is there any point, because I know on the bike, when we're going one of those hills, I was like, I panicked for a little bit. I might have to get off the bike and start walking. And was there any point in the race where you're like, shit, shit's about
No, because I know how to climb hills, so I know what I need. I think a thing that Liz has learned, as she learns about bikes, is knowing your gearing. Go to a bicycle shop and be like, hey, I have this triathlon where I'm doing a lot of hills. What do I need on my bike? What setup do I need? Because sometimes you don't have a good setup. Like for instance, a new bike I bought, it doesn't have a good setup for climbing and I got to take it in. You still have to cycle a lot. You can't get like the perfect bike and not practice and go out and actually cycle or ride your bike. But make sure you have the right gearing, that you can go up hills. If you're going to do a flat course, then that doesn't matter. Just make sure you have good stuff that's going to be good for sprinting or whatever. But if you're going to climb hills, which Maple Valley has, which Coeur d'Alene has, which a lot of us are doing Coeur d'Alene, you're going to want gearing that's appropriate so you're not grinding up a hill. Liz,
I got lucky on that. I think the hills were annoying, but I didn't have any problems going up them. I will say this, since we're talking about bikes, and I think both of you have tri bikes, or maybe all three of you have tri bikes. Is that correct? So I have a road bike that I put aero bars on, and I would say that that's probably anybody watching this anyway that's getting into the sport. I don't think you need to go out and buy a tri bike in order to do this. I passed lots of tri bikes while I was doing the bike. That's not saying a whole lot, but I mean, you don't need a tri bike. You don't need to invest in a tri bike if this is your first go and might be your last go. So,
right. No, I agree. I mean, if you have, especially if you want to continue cycling outside of triathlons, I'm a bike freak, so I have lots of bikes. I have road bike, I have cross bike, I have a commuter. I have a mountain bike and then I have my tri bike. So I'm your weirdo that has all these bikes. But really,
Yeah.
yeah, a road bike will do and put some aero bars. That's what my husband did with his, and he
Yeah.
kicked butt. So I think that's great advice. Yeah. And they're nice because you have the drops. And if know the anatomy of your bike. When I say drops, you got hoods, that's the top of your bike. The drops are like the sheep horns. That's the bottom
Yeah.
part, and that's great for when you go down a hill. It's super safe. You really can steer your bike better versus tri bars. You're like, oh God, please don't die.
Yeah.
Right? So
I
that's
did
what's
that
great about road
exact
bikes.
thing. I thought I killed myself, is what I thought.
I know. Because your brakes are,
Just a few more moments down this hill and I will be dead. Unfortunately, I did not die, and I coasted up the next hill because it was just too frightening to take my hands off the aero bars and reach down to the brakes. Which,
Be
if you're
comfortable with
watching this, you don't
biking.
know the aero bars don't have brakes. So, yeah.
well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story, Heather. And we go on to Elizabeth. Liz, tell us your journey.
Oh man, this is the scary part because I feel like once I start talking about triathlon stuff, I just don't shut up. Heather's like, correct.
Is it just triathlon?
I talk a lot in general.
No, I'm saying all of us. Like I could talk for hours about, and then I'll be thinking of something else, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this, remember that. So no, it's not just you. I'm saying all of us. Like yes, we could talk about it for hours.
Your triathlon.
Not just you, Liz.
Been told before, go to a party and says, hey, can we talk about something other than races?
I know I have to like hold it back sometimes when I'm with other people. I'm like, Liz, don't talk about this. I don't want to hear about it. Hold it back, Liz. I did my first, I signed up for Coeur d'Alene at the end of 2021. I just was having some life stuff go on, and I was like, I need something to make me feel good about myself. So why not do a half Ironman? And it was great. I mean, I got to know Heather. Heather and I crossed the finish line at Coeur d'Alene together, um, which was really special. And we were pretty close to finishing Maple Valley together last year too.
She
So I
was
got
so
bit.
nice. She was gonna wait for me, and I said, "You go." She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go." I'm like, "Go," and she went. So she's that kind
I
of
got
nice
like,
person that she'll be slower just for you. And I was like, "No, you're not."
she's like, go, get out of here. Got my 5 seconds faster or whatever. Yeah, so then I got really, really into it. I kind of like, I mean, I was learning a lot last year. I think I did 140-mile bike ride before Coeur d'Alene, did open water swimming. I panicked super hard. So this year really felt like the year that I started training hard in like November after I had to take a licensure test for my job. So I felt like this year I was going into it like, okay, I'm taking this seriously. I know what I'm doing. So that was really exciting. And then I did Victoria in May at 70.3. And that was a great race up until the run. And I just had stomach issues the entire run. And I have so many stories from that, including a barefoot man who was participating in the run and the whole race, but he didn't have shoes on and he was wearing a button down and basically told me to suck it up. It was like a key moment from here. And then Heather saw that I was struggling and came and got me and helped me finish the run. But all that to say, it was a pretty rough race, and I was pretty disappointed because I had worked on my nutrition a lot, and didn't think it would be a problem. So I was pretty bummed that my run was so not what I thought I could do.
Can you pinpoint what happened as far as nutrition? Do you think it was the nutrition?
I think it was, so the only two things I could pinpoint it to would be I had overnight oats in the morning, and usually I don't do oats in the morning. And I think my body could handle that on the swim and the bike, but not on the run. And then the only other thing was I didn't finish my nutrition on the bike. So I might have not had enough electrolytes. So, but that's it. Like I use the exact same nutrition that I used for Coeur d'Alene and Maple Valley the year before. So, and my nutrition's super simple. It's not complicated at all. So yeah. So then I was super excited about this year, and the Maple Valley this year. And I did like a mock 70.3 in Medical Lake to try and nail down my nutrition, and that went really well. Um, yeah, and then I guess like the last thing I'll say so I don't talk forever, was I was really hyping myself up for Maple Valley this year. I love that race. I love that course. And I really wanted to hit 6 hours or under. And a couple people were telling me you can do sub 6, and I was getting really in my head about it. And then I think it was like the night before, I mean, Heather saw me stressing out. I think it was the night before I just kind of like let go. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to be happy to be here. Like, I'm just going to enjoy it because that's all I can do. And just try and enjoy every moment. And so going into that attitude, I think made a really big difference because, on the swim, I was like, how cool is it that I get to do this swim? I love this swim. I like got out of the swim. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to ride my bike. I'm so excited. And like, riding my bike, I was like, I don't have a flat tire. Like, it's so pretty. And on the run, I was like, oh my gosh, I've trained so hard and this isn't that hard. Like, I was just trying really hard to just enjoy it. And then, yeah, and then I got under 6 hours, which was a big accomplishment and felt really good. And yeah, so it felt good.
I know you had it in the bag because you know, I saw you probably with 5 miles to go because you were coming the opposite way. Say, hey, Nick, there's sub 3 and high-five me. And I am weak, like I am barely making it. And she's like, bang, oh, through my she had a lot of energy. She was just strong. And it's like, man, and you have plenty of time. And I thought, man, she's got it easy. It's awesome. Cool. Mm. Well, let's go around and say, like, what was the most, do you experience happy chemicals? Like just a state of euphoria when you're racing versus, or even, because I experience that when I do long runs pretty often, but more in a race if it's going well. But I think they're going on no matter what. It's just that when it's not going well, the emotions are strong the other way too. The negative emotions can be pretty powerful. But do you experience it that way where you get either super emotional, start crying at the end of the race, or just that like, oh man, life couldn't be anything better right now?
I'll just go. I almost cried during the run this year because I was just so proud of myself. But I'm an emotional person, so like, I love to cry. I'm like, I get it out whenever you can. I don't often cry at the end, but I think on the run is usually when I get pretty emotional. And like Victoria, I think I was able to stay out of the negative headspace, but I was pretty disappointed and mad. I didn't cry, but I, wanted to throw things and didn't. So yes.
How about you, Heather and Damon? Do you guys experience runner's high or any kind of euphoric feeling while you're either working out or racing?
Not during running. No, I don't understand that. I get it from biking. I
Okay.
think running for me is like, because I know I don't enjoy it necessarily. Maybe Damon and you, Victor, can speak to this, but I have, not that it's an excuse, but I have things that hurt on me when I run. And I think Damon didn't share it, so I'm not going to share it for him. I'm sure he can speak to what that means with things that have happened. I have a new ACL. I have this left ball of my foot pain that happened to me during Maple Valley that just really effing hurt, right? And I had to just be like, get through it, girl. Like, stop you bitching. And you have like another thing with running, I feel like I have a lot of time to have internal conversations. And I talked to Liz about this, like the stupid stuff I talk to myself about. And then I'm telling my own self to shut up. So you're just kind of doing this weird stuff because anybody else who could probably get into your head would be like, you crazy. But anybody that's a triathlete would be like, yeah, I've done that. I've done those kind of weird things. I've done times tables before in my head when I run, which people think is crazy, but that's for me to just kind of like not concentrate on other things that are hurting in my body. Because the endorphins don't always cover other pains. And getting through those pains as far, I know that Liz can speak to hip pain and how she had to get through that, and she got through it and did everything right, let herself heal. And so that's another thing, is listening to your body and letting it heal. I know we're getting away from the whole euphoria, because sometimes we're like, oh, we're just going to push through this pain, but sometimes pushing through that pain can cause permanent injury. So as you get older, people that like to do triathlons usually happens a lot of times when they're older because they have more time. We've talked about that. I don't have more time, but I had something I wanted to add to my life, and so I did. But I think that's a really big thing, is listening to your body, and I did that a lot better this year than I did last year.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, and I think that part of those endorphins or whatever chemicals we produce, sometimes it's dangerous because it allows us to go through the pain without to endure more than we would otherwise. Especially in a race, you see a lot of people. I've done it so many times. It's bad. And my sister did it. She ran a whole marathon with a ripped Achilles. And it's like, she tells me, I don't experience runner's high. It's like, but you are experiencing something. Otherwise, you wouldn't have ran 20 miles with that kind of ankle.
I was just going to say that when I started the run after the bike, I kind of felt good. I was like, wow, I'm on the run now. Okay, let's go. And actually, it felt better than I thought it would. And so, but it wasn't long into the run that my hip started hurting. I have an artificial hip, and it really started hurting bad. But I just kept running through it, and I at some point, I don't know, maybe mile 5 or something like that, it just kind of went away, that pain, And I don't know, maybe that is kind of a exercise high, if you will, or something like that. I don't know if it went away and I'm permanently damaged. I don't think I am, but that's good hardware I had in there. But that went away, and other pains did come. So I mean, whatever. If it was endorphins, I think it would cover all pains and not just one. But yeah, so I don't know if I had any kind of endorphin-ish kind of experience, like a runner's high or anything like that. But and towards the end there, you definitely feel you get a little boost of energy. I think I did, like, yeah, okay, all right, this is I don't know if this is about over, or hey, I did it. There's something in there, something in between. You feel good. You feel good about it.
Mine's just like, I'm in a daze, and then within 5 minutes, I'm like, I tell Liz, I just need 5 minutes to become a human again. And then I'm like, okay, I'm good. All right. Then eat, and then have my fake beer, and then I'm good. All right.
The fake beer is like my favorite. I don't know what it is about that Athletic Brewing, but I love it.
I was dopey the rest of the day. I was kind of loopy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just everybody has different. Like, that's what I like. Liz's experience, she's like super pumped, and I'm like, girl, give me a minute. Give me a minute. Right? And she's like on it, and she's good to go and everything. And but everybody has like a different way of how. It's not a bad thing. It's just every person is different. And for me, I'm like, okay, all right, I'm done. All right. And then 5 minutes, I'm fine. Just have to like regroup myself.
Awesome.
And then I'm excited. I want to do pictures.
Then she's pumped.
So, and I know I asked this to Damon, but to Liz and Heather, as far as Team Blaze, what do you think we can do as a team to better help improvement or just serve our members?
We need to cycle more.
Cycle more, like group rides.
Yeah, we need to have like an A and B group.
Okay.
Go ahead, Liz. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I was about to interrupt you, and then I stopped myself. I was gonna say a bike handling clinic would be cool. Like, even if we didn't, because I just like, or like even that stuff Heather was talking about, like bike etiquette and like even bike maintenance. I think we actually do bike maintenance, but I just haven't gone. I think there is it on the calendar, and I haven't gone, so I take that back. We do that.
Well, we should do it more often. Maybe once a year is not enough. Like, especially in wintertime, we should be doing it like way more often. Like, okay, let's take our bike apart in this instance and see what happens, and just do like, what kind of tweaking can we do if it hits the fan when you're out on the course, and you need to just take care of it, right?
Yeah, I did see a lot of not just flats, but people just sitting there waiting for the technician. They weren't at Maple Valley Race.
Mhm.
They were just either the wheel was over here and you couldn't tell what, you just say, hey, are you okay? And they say, yeah. But
That's what I did too. I just said, hey, okay? Yep, all right. Well, because I would have probably stopped if they're like, I need help. And that maybe that's another thing is if you need help, ask for it. Some people will stop. Like if
Yeah.
somebody says they need help, I'm not gonna be like, screw you, I gotta beat whoever, because I know I'm not pro. I'm not gonna friggin' win the race. I'd like to get a better time, but if I know I help somebody, I'm a winner, right?
yeah.
So,
There's Heather, classic Heather, always helping everybody out.
I don't know about that. I almost pushed Victor, but I was like, he's my teammate, so I won't do it this time. Just
Thank-
joking.
No, it was so nice seeing you guys on the course. It was uplifting, and I didn't cramp. That was my biggest fear, because and I never used to have that experience, but lately in the last few races I've experienced some pretty bad cramping. This time I took a lot of Pedialyte because
Heard about that.
recommended. So I started drinking it like 3 days before and the day of the race, and I took it as part of that hydration, and I did fine without
I
cramp.
brought salt pills with me
Nice.
Liz,
on the
can
bike
speak
and
to
the
that.
run. And
I forgot mine.
I don't know if I took enough or whatever. I just like every once in a while, like maybe I should have another one of those. Something to do, right? Something else to think about.
Something to look forward to. I like the way they taste. Like I can't
Yeah, I got
can't
some
remember what
citrus.
brand they're.
Yeah.
I like sweat a lot. Like I think I sweat more than most humans. So I'm like I need all of the extra electrolytes. So
I cramped on the swim right at the end, coming around the buoy. My left calf just went. So I'm dragging my foot, and trying to get it to stop cramping, put toes up or whatever. I don't know, that's how you say it, but yeah, that was kind of surprising.
It went
that's
away.
where you want to cramp though.
Is it?
I feel
Yeah,
I feel like if I want to
you could
cramp,
just
I
use
want to
your
cramp
arms.
on the swim. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Big
yeah.
hooks, yeah.
I'm not a very good kicker anyway. That's probably why I'm so spoiled. But dragging
You're
my
not
foot,
slow.
particularly to the water, was annoying.
Yeah. And
Never say you're slow.
I am slow.
you mentioned something, Heather, about doing math or doing multiplications on your thing, but it's similar to what. No, because I've done a lot of counting the cadence, or I even brought it to my the swim team, is to count your cadence of the water, and I feel like it's kind of that same attitude, is that you get your mind on something, but the rhythm of it or counting, because I used to do it with running too, counting my cadence, and then it started to be so automatic that I forget that I'm counting. So I started to count by threes, count by twos, count in Spanish, and have these different rhythms that keep me more in tune or more focused on the way my body's operating. And I think and this is just speculation, is that you're dividing time in milliseconds when you're counting. So you're sort of very aware of where you're landing, what's going on. What I did on the run is, as soon as I got in the run, I could feel the pain in the legs. And every time I counted the legs, I was like, I could feel the bad, every time it landed, it's like I can feel the pain. So I started to count with my arm swings. And that took away, it was like, it literally helped me engage the arms more than just the legs. And it does bring energy, because with the running, you have to engage everything, because we tend to just do the legs and they can give up. And sometimes one part of the leg, our body starts to like just, if one of them starts hurting, then the other one takes over, and pretty soon the other one is, yeah, I'm tired too. But if we can learn to engage everything else, be more efficient.
Yeah, that's another thing I do for reason I do multiplication is if I start to be bad at it, because it's so natural and I should know it, I'm like, oh, I need nutrition.
Yeah.
You know, if
Mhm.
I'm like 8 times 8, I don't know what it is, I can't remember. Okay, maybe you need nutrition. And I
Mhm.
was joking with Liz about this on the run. I remember because I started like concentrating on my arms. I was like, come on, arms. And my legs were kind of like, and I felt like my arms were doing this and my legs were like that. It's like this weird like argument with your body, like move legs, and like you're trying to move your arms to make your legs move, and that doesn't work either. So yeah, the things that your body do on a triathlon are so different than if you just ride a bike or you
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
run, because like you are so already fatigued to some extent. Maybe some people are superhumans and it's not a big deal, but whether you're fast or a certain speed on running, I think anybody that starts to run after they've swam and rode a bike, your body's friggin' tired.
Mhm.
And so the weird things that your body does, it might do it at one race but not do it at the other. Like I could tell you, like every single race my body's done something a little different.
Yeah.
Like mine has been a digestive system, kind of like Liz.
Mhm.
I didn't have just stomach pains, I had other stuff going on, meaning mass exodus on a continual basis. So Lacey, she's the cutest ever. You've interviewed her, Victor, and her little cute voice at the last Maple Valley after I got done. I had some mass exodus issues. She's like, oh yeah, I was taking Imodium before I start. I was like, well,
Oh,
that didn't
what?
make the move before I started today. So that's what I did on this Maple Valley, and I had no stomach issues. So you just have to find those tweaks that work for you. And taking that Imodium was awesome for me.
Oh, awesome. And I think
But
that's
if you don't have stomach issues, don't take it because I don't want you to get constipated.
yeah.
Disclaimer. Know your body.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say like my last thing is like if you can do like a mock of anything, like a sprint that you just take easy or an Olympic, or for me, I was so thankful. Like shout out my dad who woke up at 4 a.m. to drive me out to Medical Lake on a Saturday and then sit around while I was like, I'm gonna swim a mile, bike 56 miles and a half marathon. Want to hang? And he was like, sure. But if you can practice that stuff, it's good too, and it gives you that extra confidence. I would say like training my yeah, I can't shut up. If you got to enjoy it, like Heather said, you got to enjoy it, and like enjoying the training, enjoying all of it, like it's super important.
Yeah.
Bricks. You got to do the bricks.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Heather. That one of the things that I would like Team Blaze to do is to do more of those bricks, because my sister trained with a group in California, and the guy that has been doing really well, he's like, I believe he turned 70 years old, and he's been winning a lot of it in his age group. And I asked him, because I interviewed him, and I said, do you use the power meter or heart rate monitor? And he said, never done those. I was like, oh, I was pretty impressed. But that's what they did a lot. They did a lot of brickworks over their Malibu canyons. You just and repeated, like not just one brick, but they would do two or three. Where let's go on the bike, come back, get off the bike, go for a run, you get back on the bike, do it and do it 2 to 3 times in one session. And I think that everybody in that group did really well.
I hardly did any of that.
Yeah.
I read somewhere, I just, you could YouTube or read to death about all this stuff. And that's way back when I said something about details, and some are important and some aren't, and things like that. And anyway, so you can come up with all sorts of details you think are important but aren't. Bricks are probably one of the ones that I saw in some of the stuff I was looking at, that it's more or less just to show you that your legs are going to be kind of rubbery. Right? It's not a training thing. It's just, get used to your legs aren't going to be quite right when you get off the bike and you're going to go for a run. So it has nothing to do with training, if I'm making sense.
Yeah, but I think they
You
do.
know, and so I just kind of dismissed it, and I think I kind of wish I would have done more of that myself. So,
And I didn't do it just because of time. I think sometimes it's like, okay, I'm gonna do
yeah.
the bike and then I'll do a little bit of run, and then it gets late. It's like, no, I don't have time for the run, and you skip it. But me too, the same thing. It was like, I wish I would have done a little bit of more running on tired legs is what they
Yeah.
call it. And if you can get used to that, your performance is going to be better, in my opinion.
And I think this is what I have to work on, and I think Liz can speak to this for running, is hills. And that is two things I'm integrating this year to try to get faster, just because, yeah, like Damon said, you could read yourself to death with triathlons. Like, well, how can I get faster? How can I get faster? Right? So another thing that I've done before, and I didn't do it as well this year, as I have done in the past with cycling, is teaching your body to burn fats once you run out of glycogen levels. And so that's something I'm going to concentrate on, hills, and I'm going to lose some weight because I want to be lighter to go faster. I know that helps on the bike, for me at least. Not that you have to be this tiny little skinny thing, but I know that if I lose a little bit of weight, it's less to carry on the run. I'm not going to try to be, I just need to change. I need better diet. I need so many working parts. Like everything has to come together. I feel like my diet wasn't perfect, so I need to work on that. Lifting, so I'm integrating that right now. Teaching my body to burn fat. So the way you do that, I'm not a doctor, disclaimer, is you do things fasting. So I do bike rides fasting, I do runs fasting. I even did my bricks fasting. And so I know that I can do it. So that is something else I'm going to do. And I can't really say I did my bricks fasting, but I didn't eat. I only did nutrition. So which I have a habit of doing anyways. And so that's what I'm going to do. But when it comes time to get closer to the triathlon, they say you can start to integrate a little bit more food before your bricks because you've already taught your body how to burn those fats as your glycogen levels get down so that when you do the triathlon, Ironman half full, you can eat and your body will use that. And then when you'll have enough energy to switch over to the fat. So it's teaching your body to do it and then being able to integrate more foods right before the triathlon. So I'm not a doctor. This is what I've read about. So that's what I'm going to try too. Because I felt like my glycogen levels depleted more and I needed more than I should have if I would have taught my body appropriately how to burn stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a big believer in fasting, and I usually try the just longer hours at night, from the having an early dinner and a late breakfast, and that seems to be working better than when I don't do that.
And my 2 cents is like, do what works for you, because I tried intermittent fasting and I literally hated it and felt like trash. So I refused to do it. But that's my body, right? My body tells me, like, Liz, if you don't eat, you feel horrible. And then you're super hungry all the time. So yeah, you have to listen to your body. Like if I go on a run at 5 a.m., I still try and eat like something before. So if they're, that just my 2 cents.
I fasted for years, just eating one meal a day.
Oh, wow. And it was working for you.
It was actually convenient. I didn't have to think about 2 other meals a day. I just think about one meal a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Everybody's body's different. And as you get older, I feel like I was like Liz in my 20s and early 30s that like I wouldn't be able to do the fasting situation. But as I've gotten older, my body's different. And I know what works for me and doesn't work for me. When I was her age, like, no, like I had to eat my 3 meals a day and my snacks, or I, couldn't do the things I was doing, which was a lot of running back then. So yeah, listen to your body. Your body really tells you, and you need to learn what works best for you. And every person's different. I mean, if we were all the same, that'd be boring, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I usually carry like gels. If I go on an empty stomach for a long run, make sure I take my gels just in case I feel that, okay, I'm running out of glycogen and I'm feeling weak. And then I take those gels.
Especially when I'm training my body, for sure, I take gels, and then I notice as I get like better at whatever training I'm doing, I'm needing less and less of that instant sugar.
Yeah, and I've been doing quite a bit of research on the weight loss, because as I was interviewing a lot of clients, when I asked them, why did you start running? Why did you start exercising? The number one reason was they wanted to lose weight. So I started to focus a lot more on how to help people lose weight and maintain it, because one thing that I've noticed too with being in Team Blaze and being around triathletes is that after, like, especially after an Ironman, a lot of members put on the weight plus a little more, put back the weight, and including myself. But that's
Put
been,
on weight during training. I don't know, am I some kind of weirdo? But I will gain 10 or 15 pounds when I'm training. Like
yeah,
my wintertime is when I lose weight. And then that's why I'm trying to figure out my nutrition as far as keeping my body the same. Because when it's like, it's a bar none. Like just eat what you want, Heather, and that's not a good idea.
yeah.
So I'm a weirdo because I do not lose weight when I'm triathlon training.
I use it towards the end, but you do gain some muscle, so you are going to have a little bit of weight, muscle gain, and muscle
Yeah.
weight more than fat. But that being said, my mantra is run more, eat less, you'll lose weight. There's just
Yep.
there, but then it's not as easier said than done, and it's doing the right foods, the right times, and all that other stuff comes in play that helps you do that.
I like McChickens and I like sweet tea.
As you should.
What'd you say? Big chickens?
McChickens and
Oh,
sweet tea.
Mitch.
Yeah, and I would say too, like
Lucas.
the weight gain loss thing is hard, and like everyone has their own journey with it, and like something for because like I definitely gained weight triathlon training, and I think for me a big reframe is like thanking my body, being like, oh, this is so dope. Like, sure, I like weigh a little more or whatever, but like my body can do things I never thought it could do, and like everybody has their own health and fitness goals, but I think that's it's super, at least for me, it's super important to remind myself of stuff like that. Like, okay, like my body looks different, and like I didn't know I could do that. Like that's so cool. Like there are so many goals outside of what's on the scale, which I think is super important to remember too.
Because you're
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say is like you just can't go by your weight because like I said, I don't make always the best health decisions, but yes, my body is much more muscular than it was when I was super thin and just running.
yeah, and muscle burns fat too. So if that's one of the goals is to minimize body fat, one good way of doing that is to increase muscle, because then it's burning muscle when you're not doing anything.
Your metabolism is higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I can see how people gain weight when they're exercising a lot. And this happens to me, and I think you guys just mentioned it, is that your eyes and your habits and stuff don't quite change as much as your exercise does, right? So hey, I just ran 10 miles today. I can eat 3 pieces of chicken. Because that's what you want to do, right? And that's probably, if you weren't even exercising, you probably would have done that, right? But of course, you'd be a lot worse off. But it's there's the exercise is good, it burns calories, and then you can increase your caloric intake, but your mind is still stuck in the I don't exercise kind of, this is what I want in my gut kind of mode, right? And so you do eat too much, I think. Is the conclusion I've come to is that you justify it and you eat too much if you're exercising a lot. That's my opinion. Your mileage may vary, but
Yeah. And carbs, definitely carbohydrates make you more hungry. They're not as satisfying as protein. So maybe,
potatoes. Potatoes are the most satiating food.
yeah.
They have the highest satiety index, so eat potatoes. I'm just saying, they're also delicious.
Or, they give those out in some of the races.
Jacobs, is that an Irish name?
Check. Check.
Check.
Oh, I get that. I was like, why is he going to? Yeah, it's check, I think.
I was just playing on the potato thing. I thought I heard you say
I
potato.
wish.
Oh, okay.
I just really like sweet potatoes. My coworkers make fun of me for it. They're like, another sweet potato for lunch, Liz? Like, what are you doing? And I
They're the
said,
best.
I work near a gal she's a body lifter, and her body, I don't know what you call them, muscle person. whatever, the
Bodybuilder?
bikini,
Bodybuilder.
with the muscles, not
Bodybuilder.
just a bikini, but muscles in a bikini.
Muscles
She
in a
eats
bikini.
sweet potatoes all day long.
Wow.
I
All right.
love that. I'm gonna remember
She's
that.
got
You
some
know,
guns on her. I
muscles
wouldn't
in a
want to arm
bikini.
wrestle her,
What are some of the
but that's
best?
all she eats, sweet potatoes.
It's
What
a
are some of
bodybuilder
the
food.
habits that you guys have? Do you do meditation? Routine habits that you like that are beneficial for performance or just for everyday life? Does anybody sleep? Yeah, quality of sleep. Meditation. Does anybody do meditation?
I
I
really
don't have
should.
time.
Running is the reason I run is because it's
Form of meditation.
it's a stress reliever for me, anyways. So that's kind of my mental exercise, I guess.
Murder podcasts. Yeah. Those are good.
What do you listen to? That's a question. What do you listen to when you exercise or when you run?
Usually I try to do whatever they call naked running, where
Listen to anything?
I don't listen to music. I try to do that like every other time at least, because that's what you do on triathlons. You don't get to listen to music, so you have to figure out how to talk to yourself or put your mind somewhere else. Because if you get too used to that music and you go run, I feel like you might not, your pace might be slower if you don't know how to train without music.
True.
I agree with that.
enjoy it more when I take a break from it too.
Hmm.
Anybody else? What do you listen to?
I
I don't
listen
listen
to
to
music.
podcasts. I listen to music if I'm actually listening to something.
I'd say sometimes like audiobooks or like funny podcasts help me with zone 2 training, especially when I first started because I hated it so much. So if I could listen to something that like made me laugh or entertain me, that was helpful when I was doing those low heart rate runs. But now I love them. So now I can listen to music on them. I just can't listen to songs that hype me up because then I want to run fast.
You go too fast. Yeah, and both on all three, you made major improvements. But the bike and the run are more significant, huge improvements. Do you feel like you're improving in the run as well as the bike? And it's just training, or what do you credit it to? Better training, more training, different training?
Are you asking all of us? I'm so sorry.
Or is that Liz first? But anybody I can answer that.
I'm just zoning out. No, I wasn't sure if I should answer. I think for me it was just like I had a really great coach who helped me a lot. So I had specific training, and then I think I just hit training really consistently for a long time. So like I said, I started in November, and it was a priority, like until like a week ago. Like this last 2 weeks have been super weird for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, my evenings are free. Like it feels so. I would say I just made it a priority for a long period of time, and that made a really big difference. And yeah, and like I think, having swim coaching really helped for like Team Blaze. There were a couple times when my stroke dramatically improved after one person gave me feedback. Biking with people who are the biggest other piece of advice is run, bike, swim with people who are better than you. Like there is nothing that improves your cycling more than chasing down people who are so much faster and stronger than you, or running with people who are faster and stronger than you, and even swimming around people who are better than you. Because I have not experienced like competitive meanness in the triathlon community, but I have experienced like that healthy competition of trying to like keep up, and that helps a ton. Like even in Maple Valley, there were a couple moments where I was like, Liz, just imagine that Devin and Lacey are in front of you and you're trying to catch them. I was like, everyone has the same zoot suit as Devin. And there are a couple girls with long hair. I'm just gonna pretend it's Lacey and Devin, and I'm gonna chase them down. So that helps a lot.
Awesome. How about you, Heather? What do you credit your improvements? in both the bike and the
Oh, yeah. I didn't have any improvements in my bike
and the
this year. So I'm gonna work on that. So I'm hoping to get a little bit lighter. But for me, I just need to do more rides. I didn't do enough rides this year. Um, I didn't do enough, probably as many bricks. I started a little bit later. I've never had a coach ever. And I think maybe that could have helped. I don't know, but I'm just trying to kind of take it in strides and trying to pinpoint what I need to do, what I've already talked about. But yeah, I mean, just having a solid training plan. And what I did is I had Training Peaks and I just bought one of their 70.3 plans, which was based on, have you done one before? Yes. So it's based on the fact that I've done one before. And maybe just being a little bit more strict with that next round. So I did follow a plan better this year, which last year I didn't have any plan. I just kind of did what I wanted to, when I wanted to, and how I wanted to, and I still did pretty good. So this year I just was a little bit more strict with my bricks, did more bricks, but I think this coming year I'm going to stick to my plan and I'm not going to veer away from it and do what I'm supposed to do. And I think that's huge because if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're not going to be as good as you could be.
do you already have a race in mind?
Oh, yes. Sorry. CDA in 2023, the 70.3.
All right. I already signed up for it. Did you sign up for it yet?
No, not yet. I need to. I just keep like poo-pooing it. Like, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it.
So much money. It's stupid.
How about you, Liz? Are you signed up?
No, I'm gonna do Coeur d'Alene and I would like to do one other one. I might, there's like a Scottsdale 70.3. Or maybe I'll do Victoria again, just to redeem myself. I'll find the man without shoes and prove to him that I can suck it up and go faster on the run.
Cool. And
That
Damon,
was a
Do-
hard run. I did the run leg for Lacey because she was injured. And it was hard, and that's all I did. So Liz is beating herself up more than she needs to, even though she doesn't listen to me. She did amazing because that run was not easy.
And I tripped.
did Hilly?
It's hilly and it's a trail, man. I mean, I honestly was hurting. My stomach hurt so bad I barely remember. All I remember is trees and dirt and feeling miserable and, being like, why is there blood on my shoes?
Wow.
There was the most bloody amount of people I've ever seen in any
It was
70.
bad.
Like a guy
Okay.
had like blood down his face.
Wow.
And like every other person had bloodied knees. Like that was the norm. Even Liz had it. Everybody was injured almost. So I've never seen that type of injuries on a run before. At least for if it's a trail run, you expect those kinds of things, but people are trail runners, so they're usually not injured. I mean, it happens. But like literally, I was watching the cross line, and every person almost had some type of injury.
Wow.
So it's FYI, Victoria is not easy. So be aware.
The bike course, though, is stunning. Absolutely stunning. And the swim is great. So
It's nice water.
Flat.
Really
The
nice
swim
water.
flat.
the swim is flat.
It can be hilly if you want it to be. I'm sure if you make some waves, you could swim over it.
Or could be river, like the Maple Valley is going to try city, so that might be a river
Yeah.
I
swim
hate that. I'm so sad.
downhill. And Damon, how about you? Are you signing up for a race or?
I haven't signed up for anything. It's not out of the question, but I'm still thinking about it. If I do, what I would do differently is I was just as Heather kind of described herself last year. I think I was pretty free form about my training, and I'd probably adopt something and stick to it a little better if I do another one. And I think I could. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. You can't compare these events really together time wise. I don't know. What do you guys think? Can you compare them time wise? Maybe not. I don't know, but within reason, I suppose, because they're all so different. Each one of these events, but I think I could do better than I did. I certainly could do better than I did if I set aside the free form plan and adopted some sort of plan. I think any plan, if I adopted it and followed it, I probably would have done better. And strangely, my job title literally has the word plan in it, planner, and I'm not very good at plans.
I'll tell you, it's a huge advantage to have a local race versus traveling, and not just for the logistics of traveling, but also the support. Being able to go do the course, knowing exactly what you're in for, it's huge. And what I want to do as a coach is stay in communication with everybody, and also with your private either coach or plan, so that we can incorporate the coaching plans to mimic whatever you're training for. So, and I was kind of doing that with the swim, but do it a little better, because it's going to make a difference whether you're only swimming 2 days a week. So, or people are, or they're swimming 3 days a week. That's going to make a difference. So making sure that we incorporate, hey, we're doing maybe 3 swims a week, where when the weather gets better, we can do one of those in open water and get the more yardage. Because I think that 3 swims a week is much better than 2 swims a week.
I would agree with that.
I forgot a bag with all my bike gear from Maple Valley.
Oh no.
But Liz's parents weren't coming over till Saturday, and they brought that. So I am your prime example of having a checklist. So I had a checklist to make sure I had all my equipment. However, I didn't have a checklist to make sure I have all my bags. So I am going to buy a tri bag that actually has a checklist on it. And I think it's made by Atonia, I think is the brand. It's very reasonable. And it has a checklist on the bag, and then it's like cycle stuff here, run stuff here, and then on the bottom is swim stuff. Because I do not trust this person right here anymore. So I've never done that before.
They used to have Troika Triathlon here, where you started in Medical Lake and ended up in downtown. And I was driving home, and I was like, man, it's record time to be home so early. I was so proud of myself. I'm like, oh shit, my bike.
Oh, you forgot your bike.
I forgot my bike and everything. Luckily, it's in town. Yeah,
that's a nightmare.
Wow.
I even have like nightmares about forgetting all my triathlon, and I never had that before. It's like there was a premonition that was telling me, Heather, you're gonna forget something from Maple Valley. And sure enough, I did, a whole bag. It was just a terrible experience. And have a very good checklist.
Somebody forgot the bike.
2 bags at most.
My wife, she said that she was sitting there and there was an athlete there that could not do the race because he forgot his bike.
How?
I don't know.
Forgot his bike.
But I guess what I told her is like, I guess because because it's so obvious, and it probably goes somewhere where you think they probably
forget about it.
Yeah, you just think it's there. Because I put mine I had an Avalanche and I just put it in there, but I could see where like something told me I already put it in there, and you're worried about all this other equipment that you forget. It'd be easy to forget.
That's what happened to me. It's just terrible.
Yeah, and people have forgotten running shoes. That's why the checklist is so much. Because even if you remember it from your house to the hotel, it doesn't mean you're not gonna forget it from the hotel to the race thing, or the race to it's just so many places that you can forget something.
What were you gonna say, Liz? Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I think of the question, and I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna give this advice, and then I'm gonna forget something next race, and you're all gonna be like, ha ha ha. But I always ask myself, I'm like, what? Like when I'm panicking, I'm like, what could I not do the race without? Like, what would be the worst thing I could forget? I'm like, my bike, and I'm like, oh, it'd be really bad if I could forget my helmet. And like, I don't know, but again, like sometimes you just forget stuff. Sometimes it just happens, and.
Well, that's a good question. I'd like to, where marathons are a lot easier, but even then, I like to wear my stuff because I usually gonna wear it anyway. So right before the race at home, I'll wear whatever I'm gonna wear to the race, including the bib, because I
Mhm.
forgot the bib before, and that's your timing ship
Mhm.
is on the bib.
Yeah.
And luckily, it was also a local race, and it was Windermere back when it used to be by the Greyhound. Got to the race and like, oh shit, I don't have my bib. Luckily, I had just enough time to come back, grab it, and go. But yeah. So the night before the Ironman, I wore like everything that I'm wearing is like, okay, yep, I'm gonna wear this, and that, and that's gonna be on the bike. I got my shoes, my socks, everything, in case there's something that like glide or something. But the checklists are pretty good. The checklist, there's nothing like going, I can't, that's there, that's there, that's there. And if you take it out for some reason, make sure you put it back in.
Make sure the bags that you've created, that you have a checklist, the bags are in your vehicle, because that's where I went wrong.
Oh yeah.
I didn't forget anything. So there you go.
And it's perfect.
You just jinxed yourself. You're gonna forget something next race. It's happening.
All right.
Yeah, I did 6 without forgetting anything. So just so
Oh,
you know,
And it
it
all
can
worked
happen.
out. Rick and Joni just saved the day.
Liz has the best parents in the world. I love them. I do.
Oh, did they tell you they met my wife at
They did. They texted me. They were super excited.
and
My
just
mom is
because I was thinking like if Sherry was wearing some Team Blaze, she could probably start conversations, but it just happened like that. It was in line. It's like, where are you? This Spokane. Oh, our daughter's here from Spokane.
my mom is I got all my extroversion from my mother, so she makes friends literally wherever she goes. So I'm not surprised that she met your wife.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, the other plan is that for whatever races we do next week, I would like us to have challenges. Like I know that we came in 13th place out of like a lot of them in Maple Valley, and that would be a nice goal to understand because I don't understand how the point system works. But if we could place higher as a team, that would be awesome, and it would be a nice challenge for a team to have.
did I just get kicked off the team? Is that what I heard?
6:30 for your first half Ironman. Get out of here. That's great. That's so good.
Yeah, you probably got the most points for being the first Ironman. I don't know how it works. I really don't know how the
Yeah.
system.
I have no idea. It's a great question.
There's probably a lot of things
Got
that
to be weighted in some way. I mean, if you only have 4 people show up versus 12,
yeah,
there has to be some sort of equalization there or something.
we'll find out. We'll find out and we'll put on the challenge.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I was on the list, wasn't I? Was I on the list
Yeah.
as a team blazer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember trying to figure that out and clicking all over the place, signing into I don't know how many different things, and trying to put Team Blaze on there.
Yeah. And I think
I was never really sure I actually accomplished that.
yeah. Yeah, because when I track us, we all came out on the same team.
Okay.
All right. Is there any question that I didn't ask that you'd have liked me to ask you?
Crushed it.
All right. Well, thank you. I sure appreciate this. And I think what I'll do is one of these days I'll post it on Band. And if you don't mind me posting it on YouTube, I will do that too.
Yeah, do with it what you like. If it helps everybody else, cool. They could be like, I don't want to be like her. I want to
When
be
I
like
become
Liz.
famous, you're not getting any residuals.
Remember that. I'll have a contract next time. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Stay
All
trained.
right.
Yeah,
And
thank you, Victor. You're a
Yeah.
great coach,
You,
and we
yeah.
appreciate your time.
thank
You've
you.
spent a lot of time at this.
Yeah, you really do put in a lot of heart in this, so you need to
Yeah.
look in that mirror and realize how much you're doing for us and
Yep.
how important that is to us. So thank you.
Sweet
Yep.
words for years. Thank
Thanks.
you. And yeah, I want to bring up the A game, hopefully. Challenge ourselves just a little bit more. Guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thanks.
it. And
Good night.
see you
Everybody have
soon.
a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.